For as long as mankind can remember, the warders gave their lives fighting back the forces of darkness, an eternal war waged by mortals against a seemingly endless legion. As one fell, another warder filled his ranks. With every generation of warders, new heroes and tales were born. Will your generation finally put an end to this everlasting struggle and seal the gates of hell? I'm Thomas from WiseGamer.com, and this is my alpha preview of Hell Warders, a game by Armies Games Limited. You are a warder, tasked with protecting the world from the demons of hell. Your goal is to seal the gates of hell for good, fighting wave after wave of demons until they're back where they belong. This game is currently in greenlight and looks to be voted onto Steam within the coming months, so I'll preface this review by saying the gameplay you're seeing was done live on beam.pro/wisegamer and was a very, very early alpha dev build. So many of the things in the game were either not functioning all the way, there might have been some different bugs, some things that weren't present yet, some placeholders. Typical stuff for an early access or early alpha game. Just wanted to make sure that was clear. The developers gave me an exclusive look with a few friends of mine to see an extremely early dev build that they literally threw together just for me in this video. So that said, let's get into the gameplay. The gameplay itself was actually quite fun. It was really an obvious connection can be made to games like Orcs Must Die, Dungeon Defenders, and things like that, where you control a hero that has its own respective skills and abilities to take on the enemies, but you can also construct defenses in a tower defense type sense. Now, the game allows up to 4 players to play co-op, and that's what we did on the stream here. So for the gameplay you're seeing, it's a full party of 4, and it was really a lot of fun. The build we played had a knight and an alchemist available as playable characters, and basically, with those two, you have a knight that's the typical melee tank type character with abilities to do an AoE ground strike, and then you can also suck enemies in with this like whirlwind attack thing. So it kind of grabs all their aggro, sucks them into one spot, and that way you can kind of hold them down from there. The alchemist is a ranged character capable of shooting grenade launchers, a shotgun, or a machine gun at the enemies based on your needs and how close you are to them. The playstyle of the two were really distinctive. Obviously, we have a ranged character that's more squishy, it has a lot of high damage DPS, and we have more of a slower attacking tank-like character for the melee. Really, they both gave a lot of play, and we actually kind of swapped roles and played through a couple times here on the 2 available stages. So for such an early build, it was really interesting to see that. Now, outside those heroes themselves, scattered around the stages are various towers that you can get to place down in the arena. And what I mean by towers are in the tower defense sense. So you have like blockades, archers, ballistas, I think there's a catapult, mages that's like cast fire and things like that. Just a bunch of different areas that you can actually collect these from, and some of the more rare ones are hard to get based on the stages themselves, which the stages are dynamic. They have ones with like lava that comes up and you can get caught in that and get killed, and if you get down to there and don't die, there's, you know, a unique or a more powerful tower that you can collect down there. So it's kind of an interesting take on the typical tower defense thing. After you go through a few different waves, you'll start seeing different bosses that you have to fight as well. They all have their own unique abilities. There's ones that spawn a bunch of other spiders that will blow up on you. There's ones with all these crazy spellcasting effects, and one that was like a Grimer type thing from Pokemon where you kill it and it just keeps splitting into more and more sludge or muck. It was pretty crazy and actually a little bit difficult. Completing the final wave, which includes every single boss that you saw on all prior waves, is like the ultimate goal. And for us, there was 8 waves on each stage for the current build, and completing that final one will allow you to be victorious. Now, visually, the game actually looks really good for being such an early build. They were telling us there was going to be a lot of different issues here and there because it's a dev build. They spent 3 days up until 3 AM working on it to get us a copy. And I mean, sure, there was things like physics issues with the cape effects on the knight, for example, where it was kind of folding onto itself or kind of cutting through the body some. But really, outside of that, I mean, a few issues with grenade launcher rounds that just kind of glided against the floor, I should say, or bullets that kind of looked like placeholder bullets from the machine gun. The rest of the game itself was actually quite beautiful for such an early stage. The level design itself was pretty beautiful, the menu options were great, and like there's kind of a cohesive theme to everything. So for such an early alpha copy that's not even early access yet, not even on Steam, just still in greenlight, I really couldn't have asked for much more. The 2 stages that we were able to play on were really quite unique and beautiful too. One of them had these big, large fans throughout the different level, and in the center of the stage was a giant fan that blew you up in the air as you jumped over it, and that's actually where some of the more rare towers were that you had to collect if you wanted to place them down on the map. The other one had lava everywhere, like I was mentioning earlier, and basically between these you had the hazards of either like falling out of the sky map or dropping into the lava and just getting burned up in the magma there. You know, of course future stages are going to come as well in the final game, but it's a fantastic start for just seeing these 2 right now. Now, audio-wise is probably the only area that in this early alpha dev build, I felt that it needed the most work. It really seemed to be the least polished or finished area within the entire game right now, or within the build we played. I mean, there's sound effects for some of the monsters, or the demons I should say. There's like the footsteps, the weapon sounds, and things like that. But that's about it. Outside of those sound effects, there wasn't any music yet or anything, so I can't speak too much to it. I'll just kind of say what was there right now, and really this isn't a reflection of the game being bad or the final version of the game in any way, shape, or form. This is just the most unfinished area in the current dev build that we played. So things like the machine guns going off on the alchemist, especially when two people stood next to each other firing machine guns, a little bit ear piercing or a little bit painful on the ears when you're wearing headsets. Also with like two knights next to each other, there's a swoosh type sound that we had a lot of fun with at first, but the swoosh of the sword swiping through the air actually gets a little bit annoying after a while too. So it's just one of those things where, you know, they're placeholder sound effects, they were literally just thrown in for now, and it's not at all going to reflect on the final game. So more of a preview than a review that I'm doing here. Just wanted to give some feedback on the audio area, even though, again, this is the area that probably had the least amount of work done so far. So moving into replayability, it's really hard to say because this is such an early build, but I know that with any game, when you add the ability to play with your friends online, you usually get a lot more replay value. So with this, you can have up to 4 people playing co-op with you, as well as the solo mode. And again, the copy that we had only had 2 playable stages, but there was a 3rd stage listed in development, so I know that many more are going to be coming too. The 3rd stage is going to have some type of like tornado type thing, it looked like, and that looked really cool. It was like in a desert, but I couldn't do too much with it yet. There's going to be more heroes as well. I know that they have at least one more planned, if not a few more planned, so you have different classes you can play as. So just all of that combined and being able to play with your friends and try out the different skills, I really think it's going to be a game that has good replay value. It's just hard to say in such an early build. So kind of overall, wrapping everything up here, I have to say that I'm really quite impressed with Hell Warders as it stands now. As of this video, the game is on Greenlight still, so you can vote for it at the link in the description if you want to buy it someday on Steam. That's what the whole Greenlight program's about. If you vote yes, that means that Steam says, hey, there's people that want to buy this game, let's go ahead and put it on Steam, then we'll let them sell it on there. So if you guys are into tower defense mechanics, you know, like Orcs Must Die or Dungeon Defenders or something like those series, I really think it's going to fit well for you and you'll enjoy this as well. So guys, thanks for watching the review. Check out my other ones in the playlist down in the description. We're at the end card here, and we'll see you next time. I've been Thomas from wisegamer.com. Thanks for coming out. Bye-bye.